my eyes and saw that you were my truth. Said, how did you know? How did you know? That you'd be my angel. When your wings were trapped into my heart. Where did you see? And where did you see that we would be wonderful? And our dreams will live where we are. How did you know that you'd be my angel? When your wings were trapped into my heart. Where did you see that we would be wonderful and our dreams would live where we are? How did you know that you'd be my angel? When your wings were trapped into my heart. Where did you see that we would be wonderful and our dreams would live where we are? How did you know that you'd be my angel? When your wings were trapped in my heart. Where did you see that we would be wonderful and our dreams would live?
Hello, my name is Shane Schultz,
Hello,
and this
my name is Shane Schultz,
is the
and
live
this-
recap show of the Arisen Strength podcast. Folks, we do this show every Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time because we feel that there are far too many dreams, talents, and capabilities that are being suppressed for whatever reason. Whether it be illness, injury, or life experiences, these situations seem to find a way to rob us of what it is that makes us special and unique in this world, and that's our passions. Here at Arisen Strength, we encourage to pursue your purposes and your passions in spite of the challenges that we all face. Now, how we do that is through a three-pillar concept. Number one, we support. Number two, empower. And number three, after all that work, we have the right to celebrate. Folks, that's the Arisen Strength concept. Our goal is to help people find the strength within to be able to help themselves and others. Tonight, we're going to be talking about the Arisen Strength podcast. This past Sunday, we're going over some more memorable moments of freedom, of acceptance. But before we do that, let me go ahead and introduce my great friend, Wayne the Hack Hacker. He is also the director of all Arisen Strength productions and ongoings. Wayne, how are you doing tonight?
Hey, Shane, good evening. Thank you very much for that wonderful introduction and placing all the blame squarely upon me so that when things go wrong, people know whose name to remember. It's my fault. So when the audio goes out, or the picture goes out, or we're out of focus, or we lose the internet connection, that's all me. Because you have the hard job. You have to actually sit there and talk. I'm just, playing buttons over here on this end.
No. That I would never agree to. I mean, what Wayne does is pretty amazing. And given when things are going right and when Wayne has got time in order to think, he can really make things go. You'll notice that there's been quite a few changes that we've had. It's learn, improve, share. That's what we go about as to where, and what's the other one? The perform revision.
Oh, performance feedback revision. That's when we rely mostly on the audience for that. It's how this show evolves.
Mm-hmm.
I think learn, improve, share is kind of a mantra that I've adopted for my life, and I bring that. That's one of the things I share with the show here. Is I want to make sure I'm living a purposeful life, like many of us. We want to find purpose in our life, and one way I kind of do that is I double check when I'm in engaging in activities and planning stuff? Am I following my learn, improve, share? Am I learning something? Am I doing something to improve my life, or maybe improve somebody else's life? And am I sharing? So what am I'm making sure I'm sticking on those things. But that performance, feedback, revision, that's what we do here. We do a performance, we get feedback, and then we change up some of the things that we do. And the show, I think, has improved dramatically in the last 4 months. We're on episode 15 now, and we've made a lot of changes. Some things we're still holding on to, some things we've completely let go, some things we've adopted, but it's been a wonderful ride so far.
Yeah, we really have taken quite a jump over this past month alone, as to where we're changing different views, we're changing different software, and we've got more to come. It's just a matter of doing it in a certain process to be able to make sure that it's well worth what it is that we're doing, and we know what it is that we're putting out as a product. And I think that's definitely been improving, of where I'm very, very excited to see what we're going to have, over this last quarter of the year coming up, and then running right into the next year, 2016. So, we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, I think it's freedom of acceptance, freedom of acceptance. That was our topic this week. We talked about it Sunday night. We had a great show, I thought, on Sunday. This is a wonderful topic. It's a little bit of a subtle topic, because when people think of acceptance, they think of condoning or supporting. This is not that use of the word acceptance. This is the acceptance where we talk about accepting reality for what it is, accepting your life to this point, that what has happened has happened. It's acknowledging those things, and it's recognizing those things, and then it's being aware of what your current situation is. And once you do that, now you can have dreams with plans. You can have hope. You can have opportunity. There's optimism. And it's not just wishful thinking. It's not just a wish. It's not plans that are pie in the sky. It's actually based on, I know where I am right now, and I know where I want to be. But that takes a level of acceptance that's not supporting it. It's not condoning it. It's not necessarily being happy with it. It's just saying, this is where I am right now. And when you have that freedom, wow, the world just opens up.
It really does. As you know, this comes, the freedom of acceptance comes from a skill with DBT, which is dialectical behavior therapy, and it's radical acceptance. And when we say radical acceptance, we say that because there's a lot of situations that are out there that to be able to accept may not seem to be one that's actually proactive or thinking about yourself. But in actuality, it really does. And I'll tell you why. Because it actually does what our number two thought, our number two pillar of Arisen Strength, and that's empower. It empowers you to be able to do something else. One of the things that definitely got a lot of attention last Sunday was when I had mentioned letting your problems, letting your fears, letting your troubles in the door. And so when it came to when I started talking about, I gave the analogy of letting your problems coming in the door. What that did is it allowed you to be able to then control the situation a little bit more and to get it to the point as to where, where you're able to make a change, do things differently. For one thing, I can sit there and I can invite, for me, the example would be depression, my severe depression. If I allow my severe depression to go ahead and come in the door, then I can sit there and I can say, okay, I'm going to deal with you right here, right now. Or I can say, you know what? Make yourself at home because I'm not ready to deal with you right yet. And I'm going to go outside. I'm going to take a walk. I'm going to call a friend. I'm going to call my therapist. I'm going to do whatever it takes in order to be prepared for when I do deal with you. That's the type of thing. That's when we talk about the freedom of acceptance. It allows you to do that. Whereas if I was to try to keep my depression or my problems and struggles outside, I would simply only be able to hold the door closed and keeping that problem on the outside from coming inside. That's true, but I would be totally immersed with the fact of trying to hold it on the outside, and I wouldn't be able to do anything else. I wouldn't be able to think about anything else. I wouldn't be able to physically do anything else. I wouldn't be able to do anything as far as mastery, anything that I enjoy doing, whether it be writing, whether it be researching on the internet. I wouldn't be able to do any of those things because I would be too focused. I would be too extremely focused on keeping the problem on the outside of my house. And so those are the types of things that was what I mean when we have the freedom of acceptance. It allows us to be able to do these types of things. It allows us to be able to do other things and not be totally consumed by the problems that we have, by the struggles and challenges that we have. And that's where the freedom of acceptance gives us the power to be able to make a difference in our own lives. And, we have a number of different situations. We've had a number of different situations. We've got one going right now as to where we have cameras that cut out. We have audio, different things that happen. But we accept that those things happen, but it doesn't stop the show itself. It doesn't stop the message. It doesn't stop the purpose. If I was to sit there and be consumed by this, I could very easily be very upset and struggling and challenged and so forth. Wayne could be going out of his mind trying to fix things and so forth. But instead, what we're doing is we're saying, okay, we accept the fact that we're having challenges. We accept that there's a problem, but we also know that we're in control of the situation as to where we can still provide the same show that we planned on doing. And those are the types of things that I talk about when it comes to freedom of acceptance. It's definitely one of those things as to where it allows you to continue to do what it is that you want to do. Now, if you're sitting there and you're wanting different results, but you're doing the same things, well, I got news for you, people. That's not going to happen. You're not going to get different results when you do the same things. So if I'm sitting there doing the same thing, which is hold that door closed from having my demons and having my PTSD and having my depression coming in that door, if I'm just sitting there trying to hold the door closed, I'm not going to have any different result. I can guarantee you I can do the exact same thing day in and day out, hour by hour by hour, and I can be totally consumed by it, and therefore my life would be limited because of it. Here with freedom of acceptance, I give the power to be able to decide when it is that I am ready to deal with these types of situations, when it is that I decide when I am ready to make a change, when I am ready to make things work for myself. I'm not trying to say accept that your demon or your challenge or your struggle is all about what it is that you are. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that you allow it inside and you say, okay, now that you're in, that doesn't mean you're in any more control than what you were before. And Wayne is really going out of his mind here.
I'm at a loss. As you might see, the camera is frozen.
I see that.
There is no camera plugged in. So where that camera image is coming from, I don't know. I've switched cameras to a different camera. We have backup cameras. the backup cameras aren't being picked up. I don't know what to, but that's acceptance. We're moving along. I think everything you said there was definitely very powerful and right on. Go ahead.
Yeah.
It's my software package here is freaked out. If you want to switch to we have a fourth camera that we can actually go to.
Hang on. So let me see what I can do here. Take it off minicam.
No. Right there, minicam.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
But yeah,
it's there you are. Wade's seen, but
yeah, my camera.
I'm the one that's frozen.
We have four cameras, and my camera's frozen.
There we go.
And now your camera. We can switch over to an emergency backup camera.
Okay. Okay. So, freedom of acceptance. It again. It allows us to be able to be in power. It allows us to be able to be in control. I've been talking to a number of different friends of mine who have trouble grasping this. And I'll be honest with you, I had trouble grasping this in the first place because it started to really kind of fool around with what is instilled in me, which is my core value. So if I'm sitting there and I'm saying, okay, wait a minute, you want me to invite something that I've been trying to keep out of my life for forever. You know, you want it to be out. You wanted me to actually invite it in while I've been trying all my life to keep it on the outside. Well, you know, and I mentioned this on Sunday, I went home after therapy, and anybody who knows anything about therapy, they know that when they go home, they think about what it is that they were talking about, and they should. Well, comes to find out that I realized what it is that I was saying was really answering my problem. Because I said, and you'll notice, I've been spending all my life trying to keep the problem out of my life. I've been trying to keep the problem out of my house all the time. It consumed me. It made it so that is what my life was about. It was about trying to keep those problems outside, trying to keep the pain at a manageable level, trying to keep the thoughts in my mind, trying to keep them from consuming me, trying to doing all this paralyzes you. Paralyzed me as to where I sat there and I kept on putting all my efforts to try to keep this from happening. But in the meantime, it did just that. It did more than that. It consumed me. It consumed me even more than if I was to just simply let it in and say, okay, yes, part of my life. It's not all of my life. If it's part of it, then it's not all of it. And that is where I was able to realize for myself that I could do a number of different things in order to be able to gain control, to be able to understand myself a little bit more and more and more, to where I could say, okay, yes, I have a problem, I have a struggle, I have a challenge, whatever. But in the meantime, I'm still in control. I'm in control enough to be able to be healthy for myself and to care about myself to the point as to where, yes, this part of my life is something that I need to address, but no, it's not going to consume me. And, you know, that is a big part of the freedom of acceptance. So that's where, you know, I can actually tell you a story, since we're going off the beaten path here when it comes to the production. And I apologize for that, but we're working on it. Let me tell you a story. I remember, and some of my friends have known that I have lived in homeless shelters a number of times in my life. And I'll be honest with you, the first time definitely has stayed with me. It's with me more than any other time. And, you know, you're probably saying, well, that makes sense because it's the first time. You were probably scared out of your mind. Yes, I was scared out of my mind. And not only was I scared out of my mind, but I really didn't know where I was, and I was out of place for sure. So
Is your hand still on? Just out of curiosity. I had to reboot the computer.
I believe so, yes. The question is are we still on the air? And I believe we are. It says live.
Okay, and it's not. Okay.
And it's got the Lenovo picture there. So I can tell you this. Here it is. I'm at the homeless shelter for the first time. And there was a whole lot of differences in my life when it came to that. But I got to tell you that it wasn't the fact that it was the first time. It was the fact that I met up with a gentleman by the name of Marcel. Now, Marcel was from France, and the reason why he kind of sticks with me is because of what we used to talk about when I was sitting there at the homeless shelter. We kind of became, buddies and making sure that we were looking after one another. And so Marcel would sit there and he would tell me his dream. Well, his dream was to come over to the United States and to start a business. So he would tell me all about this business that he plans on starting. And it wasn't the fact that he had a black eye patch on one eye, because he lost one eye in a fight in a back alley in France. It wasn't the fact that he had a permanent limp because of a war that he was in with a cane. He was a little bit older than I was. And it wasn't his voice, so to speak, because he did have a French accent. It was rather deep. He sounded very similar to James Earl Jones. So that was a little bit memorable. But it was these stories that he would tell me about his dream. And, and that is what I'm talking about when we're going with the freedom of acceptance. Because Marcel had a whole lot of things that were going on that he could have been consumed by. He could have been consumed by the fact that he only has one eye. He could be consumed by the fact that he has a very noticeable limp and it's very difficult getting around. And for some reason, he decided to come to New York, of all places, where there's snow, ice, and all the treacherous ways of walking. He came to the United States with very, very little, but he had a dream. He had a plan that he was going to carry out. He wanted to carry out the dream that he envisioned, and he made action to do so. So what he did is that he radically accepted his situation. And what it did is it empowered him to be able to pursue his dream. And that, that's something that just stuck with me. And it stuck with me even to this day. It was something that I was thinking about a whole lot when it comes to this. So, so that's what freedom of acceptance can do. Freedom of acceptance can empower somebody to still pursue their dreams, talents, and capabilities, no matter what their different types of challenges and struggles that they have. I know that we talk about Wayne. I'm not going to bother him because he's going crazy trying to get the cameras going. Wayne talks about the fact that he was in his home for a year and a half, and that he every day that was going on within that year and a half, he cemented himself more and more and more and more inside that house. It was to the point to where he could not leave that house, even if he wanted to, because he was consumed by the different problems that he was having. He was consumed by his fears. He was consumed by his challenges and struggles. And so it became his life. His life became very limited to the point as to where whatever was inside that house, that was his life. Imagine that. Whatever's inside your house right now, look around your house. That's your life for a year and a half. Now there's game shows, there's different shows that are on TV and everything like that, reality shows, as to where people are stuck together for a month or stuck together for 3 months or 6 months. Imagine being alone for a year and a half inside your house. and being all right with that. And not only being all right with it, but being comfortable with it, to the point as to where he didn't want to go outside. He had no interest in going outside. He made different provisions so as to be able to survive without going on the outside. That's what happens with our challenges, our struggles. When we allow them to consume us, that's what happens. It limits our vision. It limits our abilities to be able to turn around and say, hey, I want to do something. I want to do this. I want to pursue this dream that I have. I want to try this. I want to go out and meet people. I want to socialize. I want to have a relationship with somebody. I want to do this, and